Let's talk about the future of experience. Digital transformation is the biggest opportunity of our generation. And hybrid work is super important when it comes to these digital transformation projects. Because one thing is clear, hybrid work is here to stay. And it's not just us as Matrix42 who believe that is true. Also, leading analysts and industry experts say the same thing. And I want to share a little bit of data with you that confirms what we see. So the first data point is that 75% of knowledge workers have said that their requirements regarding hybrid work and remote work and flexible work has increased significantly. So you might say, well, that's no news because we are all working remotely for the last 2 years. And of course, my requirements have increased. But the second data point is even more interesting because organizations that ask their people, call their people back to office, they risk losing 39% of their workforce if they force people to come back to the office. So it is a big risk, of course, but it's also a big opportunity to do things differently when it comes to hybrid work. And we at Matrix42, we have mentioned this for many years, that work is not a place anymore, it's a thing you do. So you need to provide flexible workspaces that people can work from anywhere, anytime, and any device, but we also need to provide the tools and the solutions and the processes to support that work from everywhere. So in terms of work styles and work modes, we have to ask the questions where to work, when to work, and also how to work. And the how, obviously, Matrix42 can help a lot. But let's start first to understand the hybrid work first, because when we talk about location, it's obvious that we talk about co-located, having teams together in an office or in a building or in an environment that work together. And also distributed is our new normal, or our never normal, how I call it, that we have meetings together in Zoom, in Microsoft Teams, and so on. So we need to provide the tools and the flexibility there. But one thing that is underestimated is when to work. Because we focus a lot as organizations on synchronous work, that we spend time together in meetings, whether physically or virtually, but we do not spend that much time on focusing and providing an environment where employees can work asynchronous on their own, to rehearse topics or to actually create concepts and work on documents. So in terms of asynchronous work, it's also important. And I believe these 4 modes, when you combine them, all of them are important to enable hybrid work in an organization. And you can think of it like comparable to a band, right? A band needs to play together, obviously, to do a song together. But also, there are times where a musician needs to rehearse his instrument and maybe starts rehearsing or writing lyrics on his or her own. And you can see the same way with digital work. There is time and place for all types of work. The reason why I'm sharing this is that the tools and the management solutions that are needed for that also need to change to support that new work style. And let me share a little bit with you what we see in organizations and what we hear from you, our customers. Because when we look at digital work, how that is transforming, then we believe a transformation to human-centric work is needed. So the past, we all grew up like this. Work was a place. You go there. You work with your devices, with your colleagues in an office. And once again, if you go back to that model, to that old model, you risk of losing 39% of your workforce. So that is not a going forward model, also when the pandemic is finally over. We all know that. But what we have done in the present is we have moved that model and the skills that we have learned in the physical world, and we kind of pushed it into the virtual world. So it's not really office-centric, but it's more meeting-centric. But this is also something in an ever normal where we now recognize after 2 years working in that mode, that probably is not the right going forward model, because we see things like virtual fatigue, back-to-back meetings where we have topics that we have learned and skills that we have learned in the past, we try to squeeze it into the present. And the reason why I shared it on this slide like different objects is almost like putting a square into a triangle. It does not really fit. So we at Matrix42, we believe we need to transform digital work to a human-centric future. And a human-centric future basically means the core and the center of everything is the person. And what that means is that organizations should also look at things like maybe no meeting days, no email days, where you have also asynchronous work that you plan into the calendar, and also things like innovation by design and not innovation just by accident, right? We all know the water cooler moments or the coffee machine moments where we meet somebody and develop a great idea. In a hybrid working world, we need to build this into our daily work. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is digital work has changed forever. So that means also the tooling, the management, the processes, and the security need to change to support this new future and the never normal, how I call it. And Albert Einstein mentioned this once with a very, very good quote from my point of view. You can't solve today's problems with yesterday's solutions. So service management, infrastructure automation, all these technologies need to support a hybrid work environment. And the reason why that is super important is experience. We at Matrix42 believe that the complexity will continuously increase. I always call it the acceleration of the acceleration. More devices, more applications, more services, more requirements from users. And total experience means then that you need to invest in an experience for IT, because we believe an experience in IT will create happy users and happy employees also create then happy customers. So it's worth it to invest in experience. So what do we mean with that total experience? You can structure it in three main categories and buckets. Number one is experience IT as a whole. Think about use cases like incident management, problem management, infrastructure automation, that this is automatically happening, that you can see through the noise, through AI and ML, that you don't need to touch all the different incidents. We call this similar tickets or similar problems. We take the ones that are important where human needs to look at, and the other one we just solve through the platform. So that's what we then achieve with experience IT. Experience work is something that then users experience. This notion of self-service, a chatbot, a virtual support agent that provides me services, applications, or any kind of things that I need to get my work done automatically. It knows me. It knows my context, my device, my location, and my work habit, and provides me a better service experience. I get surprised by the solution. So this keeps us awake at night at Matrix42 to create that experience for users. But also, when we think about experience, we call it experience empowerment. Because when you have this kind of platform that provides great IT support, great employee experience, one thing that we hear from you all the time is it needs to be tailored to your needs. So empowerment means for us this notion of a low-code, no-code platform, workflows in the background that help you to support automation and that you can adjust to your needs, tailored to your needs. So if you do experience IT, experience work, and experience empowerment, you experience value, we believe. So when we look at the Matrix42 product strategy, I always joke with my team, a product strategy needs to fit on a napkin, to explain it in simple words. And if you look at this chart, it describes where we as Matrix42 are helping our clients, where we want to help you. 3 layers of digital work that we as Matrix42 support. Number one is the workspace layer. That's where we have started many, many years ago. The ability to deploy applications, to configure devices, and any kind of infrastructure that you use to get work done. But we all know digital work has evolved. So the cloud became much more important. So when it comes to management and security, we also need to support the cloud, which we do by now. And also, it does not end there. The edge, sensors, actors, things that I wear on my device. We will hear today about AR and VR glasses. That's also devices that need management and security. So please see Matrix42 as the kind of glue that brings these 3 layers together and provides on the one side management and security, but on the other side, cost optimization, and process automation for these 3 layers. So if we summarize that, we have 2 big benefits that we create here with our platform. The one, we provide a holistic and unified view in terms of devices, these layers that you see, cost optimization, security, automation, and process automation. The second one I shared already in the little interview we just had is we help customers from IT operations to artificial intelligence operations. And to explain a little bit more what we mean with that, this notion of AI, I always try to explain it with an analogy of the car and the automotive industry. Because if you look at how cars worked in the past, we all know this manual driving and manual taking us from A to B. And this is what we also have done and seen in IT operations. If something went wrong, if a server went down, if a device was broken, if something went wrong with an application, it was pretty much a manual task. But fast forward to today, also in the automotive industry, we invented things like radar, EPS, EBS, that gave me a better driving experience, but at the same time helped me to solve problems faster or to react to activity. And also in IT operations, we have seen exactly that. We've invented workflows, automation, more data analytics and reporting to drive better management decisions. Right? So if you would like to say the kind of driving experience for workspace and service management. But the end game is autonomous driving. And also, like in cars, in IT operations, the goal should be if a car wants to bring me or should bring me safely from A to B, but not just safely, in the most efficient way. And that's how we look at IT processes. If the system and the platform is smart enough to capture data, to give me information, and actually provide me a solution without me looking at it, that the human factor is out of that occasion, that's actually autonomous driving in IT operations. That's the reason why we call it from ITOps to AIOps. To share a few examples, what we want to achieve with our experience service management, and why we believe that our vision is bold and timeless to simplify and secure digital work, I want to share 3 examples, because we want to transform enterprise service management to experience service management. And let's start with self-service. In our market, there's this big trend and big opportunity, what we call shift to left, so that employees have the ability and are enabled with tools and technology to help themselves through self-service platforms, through chatbots, through virtual support agents, and even computers on the platform where I talk to, right, so that I get automatic remediation if I need an application, if I need to get a problem solved, etc. So this power of self-service will even accelerate going forward. The second topic I want to share is cloud migration. 2 years ago, we've acquired a company called Firescope with a great technology that provides you infrastructure analysis. We call it asset forensics and asset intelligence. Because the first thing that you need to do when you migrate to the cloud, you need to understand how your architecture, your infrastructure is architectured, how your business services are architectured. And then you can make a decision, which of these business services can I move to the cloud, and which ones should I rather maybe leave on-premise or retire and wash out, how I call it, over time. So that is important on cloud migration. But my favorite topic is hyper-automation. So a powerful experience service management platform, we believe, needs to be fully equipped with a high level of automation. That is workflows that automate cloud infrastructure and cloud workload, whether it's in AWS or Azure, but even down to the endpoint. But that is all combined together in a service management platform. So think about the use case that something goes wrong in an environment with a workspace. And again, the system is smart enough to solve that problem automatically. I mention it always like, it's almost like answering questions before the question gets even asked. So that is smartness in the platform. And that, we believe, creates a total experience. I want to end with an example that shows total experience, which is an integration that we have done with a German augmented reality startup called 3D QR. And actually what they have is a great app that provides you information in their app about physical objects, right? Whether it's machinery, in the assembly lines, or in office IT, like your servers or your printers, or even your laptops and your workspaces. And think about it that way. If you have that use case that in your home office your printer has a paper jam, or in your office location has a paper jam. Usually what users do, they call up the service desk that somebody fixes it. But wouldn't it be great that you have an app where you can automatically, as a user, as an employee, a non-technician, get information how to fix the paper jam by your own? So the app, through virtual reality, guides you through the right checklist, what you need to check that the paper jam gets remediated. And the beauty about this is then fully integrated in your service desk and service management processes in Matrix42. So you have full control what has happened on the printer, you have full audit capabilities, and you have incident, problem, and change management covered. But this kind of scenario, that is not just an experience, it's then a total experience, because it's also somehow a little bit fun for the employee to fix actually that problem. So that's a great example, we believe, for total experience. So let me finish with the future as a whole, because we talk a lot about the future in this conference. And my favorite quote here is really that the ones that invent the futures are the ones that create it. And that's one of the reasons why we call this conference It Has Just Begun, or IT Has Just Begun. Because we, you, our customers, and we as Matrix42 together, we believe we can invent and create the future. Thank you.